We are joined on this episode by a talented artist who is the owner and designer at Sadist Art Designs. He has been the artist behind many a killer movie poster, including Paper Street's own key art for the Pizzagate Massacre, as well as Scare Package 1 and 2. He is Marc Schoenbach. Marc, thank you so much for joining us on the program here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we're really excited to talk to you. You are the first person in this type of work that we have interviewed as a guest. So we haven't had a poster designer or anybody that's really focused like on graphic design yet. So
yeah,
excited to dive into all of that with you today.
Oh yeah, it's gonna blow your mind. No, it is exciting. I love this stuff, and it's a big part of the industry. So yeah.
Oh yeah, it's often the first thing that gets somebody excited about a movie or a T-shirt, things like that. It's really important. So before we dive into the specifics of art, I wanted to go all the way back to the beginning and ask, what got you interested in film, in art, in this line of work? Was there a certain experience, a movie, a person that got you hooked?
Yeah, so it would have been, I'm 42 now, and so the year would have been, say, 85, or I think it was 1985. My older brother apparently had just gotten a VCR, and Halloween 2, 1981, was being shown on HBO. That was their movie of the week, I suppose. And he recorded it to try out his new VCR. And I don't know if he had showed it to me or I watched it, but I have the tape still. That's like my most cherished possession, the original, VHS tape that it was taped on. And that was the movie that it clicked. My favorite movie of all time, became utterly obsessed with the film. My friends, it became my identity, that I was if we played tag as little children, kids, neighborhood kids, I had a little green members only jacket. And, being 5 or 4 or 5, and we would play tag. And, in the 80s, there was really no parental units around. So I got a butter knife and I would chase my friends, but, slow walk after them, pretending that the butter knife was a scalpel. All normal stuff for a 5-year-old. Yeah. And so it was like the thing that my friends now tell me, my home friends tell me that, growing up, I used to force them to watch Halloween 2, but that then, of course, led to going to the video store and just, you've heard the story a billion times, I'm sure, right? By talking to people who grew up, the video store.
Yep.
My story is not unique, maybe because I did it at a slightly younger age, but horror was always the thing that I just absolutely loved, adored, blah, blah, blah. I'm not a traditional artist in that I have no real art experience. It's not what I went to school for. My degree is in forensic psychology, master's in forensic psychology. The dream was to be Clarice Starling, to work with serial killers. Again, my love of horror would then turn into my love of true crime at 14, 15. And then that love of true crime turned into an obsession with, getting rid of the sort of the paperback, what are they called? Those Drek novels, but true crime though, in that, they weren't giving you psychological explanations. It was just like, it was designed to scare you, Right. And so I would graduate from those types of books to then just reading clinical books. And I don't know, I fucked off in college or whatever. I didn't take it too serious. And when it came time to choosing a major, I just said, hey, I love serial killers. So let me pursue this. Got my degree in forensic psychology and realized I don't really actually want to be doing this. This is too real. It would be too scary. I worked as a behavior specialist for about 8.5 years. I was asked by one of my bosses to come to a different job with him where he actually worked with serial killers and a cannibal. He wanted me to meet this cannibal guy. And the real stuff scared me a bit much. It was a little too real. And but anyways, my point is that during all this psychology and getting my degrees in forensic psychology, whatever, having my job as a behavior specialist, for whatever reason, I would come home and I was just very into Photoshop. Originally, I downloaded Photoshop back in 2004 to maybe put my face on or take one of my friends' faces and put them on, make them look like Darth Vader, something stupid, just playing around with Photoshop, whatever. And then one day, if y'all remember the movie Death Proof, I was reading Entertainment Weekly and I saw the poster for Death Proof, which was a very vintage looking poster. It was that pretty girl. She's holding the syringe. Her eyes are really bug-eyed, whatever. That's the poster. And I was looking at it and I said, well, I understand that this movie is new, but the poster is clearly not. So I didn't understand because at the time I was just literally fucking around with Photoshop. I didn't know what I was doing. And so when I saw that, I said, whoa, 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 how did they do this? So I remember I ran downstairs where my computer was. And that's at that moment it clicked. I said, I think I want to make movie posters. So I just started to replicate posters that I liked, mostly 1970s, 1980s. What was cool about creating your own posters at the time, even though I wasn't very good at it, I also fancied myself a writer. That's what I had many interests, but they're all sort of similar. And I thought, what a great way to sort of write a story, but also do it like in a poster form. You come up with a title, you come up with a tagline, and you can create these like interesting things without having to really sit there and write the story. I thought, what a cool, awesome thing. Like it was hitting every element that interested me. Storytelling, visual. This was back in the MySpace days where I started to actually post my stuff. And it wasn't until this singer of this band, who I looked up to, very much so, sort of held him to a high standard, local band, but I love that DIY hardcore stuff. So he said, dude, these are really good. You should sell these. And, that's when I realized, there's something here. So I didn't know how to, again, I was a behavior specialist at the time. I didn't like the job, but I just would come home and design just that. You ever hear flow when you're doing something you love? You just, you just zone the fuck out. So hours would go by, hours. And so I clearly like this, but how would you even go about doing it? I come from the background. Oh, you need a resume, you put that in the resume. I Googled how to become a poster designer. And I remember I came across a really amateur website, but the information was all there. It says, if you want to become a poster designer, have a portfolio. And that was literally it. Just create, stuff. And the feeling I got when I saw that website, I guess it wasn't nauseous. I guess it is like that when you feel like you're going to throw up from excitement, that the butterflies, that like, you really feel like
the good kind of upset stomach.
Exactly. And that was real overwhelming. I got lightheaded because I was like, this is something here. This is something to explore. I've never gotten excited about anything like this. So that's what I did. I literally just started creating. And then boom, Facebook came out and I just started to do anything. I remember my first I'll give you a funny thing. My first paid client, I'm not going to talk about rates, but I'll just mention I asked for $100, which I even then was nothing really. I believe back in 2011, $100 was not a whole lot. And he said, no, I can't do that. I'll give you $70. I said, fuck it, let's do it. I'll do it. And I spent about 40 hours on that. So I didn't do the math of how much I got per hour. But interesting is that after all these years, he's hiring me again. And I'm not going to tell you what but in other words, I had to start at the very slow. I was more than happy to do free work. I was more than happy to do a post for $20. And that was it. I just kept working for these people, filmmakers, all in that indie sort of people just trying to get their movie made. I was just taking everything, just taking opportunities and just trying to network. And it just started to explode. And here we are.
That's awesome. So were most of your first pay gigs then just independent filmmakers or maybe small bands, that kind of a thing that were just looking for their poster art?
Yeah, but bands, yes, a very small band. But when I started using the moniker Sadist Art Designs, it was all film because that's really the idea was, again, through writing, I said, hey, this is a great way because I have this theory, nobody wants to read your screenplay. Especially if nobody knows you, So I thought, what a cool way I could get into posters and then I could be like, hey, read my script. The poster thing took off so much that I kind of neglected screenwriting. And so, yeah, but it was mainly those indie films, a lot of Kickstarters in the beginning. I was fortunate enough to have a friend who hooked me up to Ted Gagan. I don't know if you know Ted. I'm sure you do.
We do know Ted.
Yeah.
Ted, yeah. So he hooked me up with a Fangoria magazine and I got really good with them. So I would do work for them. So it really is, who you do know. And I was just welcoming it all. I was meeting people. I was going out to premieres, like show movie premieres, that kind of stuff. I was literally just networking like crazy because I just wanted to just gobble up this scene, just like eat up. I wanted to do everyone's poster.
Right. And you mentioned, as a writer, you're still telling a story, much like, painting a picture, composition and everything, the titles, the treatments, the font, that all of it. You are still a storyteller, like by nature with the posters. And when you approach it, when it comes to the posters and the key art, do you actually prefer a good amount of notes from the jump, or do you like to just try to give it a shot just based on what you know about it before any input? How do you go about, or is it always case by case?
No, I mean, at this point, it's certainly not an ego thing, but I think what started to happen is I think I built enough a name for myself that people do trust me. I need to know what your movie's about. I do need the log line and a trailer. I'm usually good with the trailer. The posters that I like to do are ones that give the essence or the vibe or the tone, very much like the 1980s posters they did. I don't like, no disrespect to the artists that do this, but I do not like. In fact, I turned down many gigs that ask me of this. When you see a lot of all the 1,000 different characters on a poster and there's like different scenes. I don't like that personally. That doesn't do it for me.
The floating head photoshops.
The floating head things, just like a million character. Every poster ends up looking like an action film. I like more tone stuff, and the more mysterious, the better. So I need to know just a little bit what the movie's about, and then I'll run with it. And I like to be the one to come up with something. But if somebody has an idea, that's awesome too. And usually if I come up with something, they'll say it's a good start and they go, oh yeah, that's good. What if we, and then that's the ones that don't really work so well is when I pitch them ideas and then they tell me their idea. And then I'll say, because I've learned the hard way that as an artist, I'm not going to, if I don't agree with you, I'm not going to just do it because, but nobody's going to know that it was your shitty idea. They're gonna think that me as the artist that came up with it. So now I fight back. I said, no, that's not going to work. But if it's something that really just doesn't work, I'll explain why. And sometimes I'll just be like, listen, it's not going to work. Sorry, it didn't work out. But I would say 99.99999% of the chance I've been on a roll. Everybody's been really happy, and that is really a good feel. I'm jealous when I do a poster for them and they're happy because there's still more I want. I want to be the guy getting his movie made too. So, but I'm super happy to see them happy. That's a good feeling.
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to talk a little bit more about different types of collaborations. Have you ever had a really unusual commission request that you've received? Or like a weird ask for a poster design or any art piece, really?
No, I wouldn't say anything. No, nothing weird. I had I would have done it. It just, the timing didn't work. But actually, I really wanted to do it. It was an engagement couple type of thing. Really upset that I didn't get to do it. She wanted to give it to her husband, the fiance, and that would have been a really cool thing. But it's not unusual. I think that's a great thing. And I'm really bummed out that I didn't get to do it. But nothing weird. I was asked to do a poster by someone. It was really, I loved the content, whatever. It was really good. And then he wanted me to put, and I'm not going to get political here, but he wanted me to put like a Trump, some kind of pin, a big gigantic Trump pin on the character. And I asked him, does that have anything to do with it? And he said, well, no, but it'd be funny. I said, yeah, okay. And I did.
And you're like, sir, please consult my webpage, my Instagram, and other things to let you know how I feel about that.
Yeah. It's like, do you know who the fuck you're talking? No. And I said, this is where the psychology comes in, my history, my past. I said, in other words, I delivered it to him without that. And I was banking that he would forget because it was a stupid idea. And sure enough, he forgot to ask and I didn't remind him. So yeah, but I wouldn't do certain things. I would be like, no, I'm not doing that.
That makes sense. How about then, what is one of the pieces that challenged you the most?
It's challenging for me is always, I'm a reference guy. I have no art degree and no background. So everything that I'm doing, I'm literally farting off on Photoshop. I'm teaching myself how to digitally paint, but my process is that I'm really good at photo manipulation. So photo manipulation would be like, for those that don't know, I don't know, since we're talking horror, having I'm looking at a skull right here in front of me, a skull, and I want to put a spider on it. So I get a skull, then an image of a spider, and then I cut the spider out and I put the spider on it, and I add shadows and I make the spider look like it's on the skull. That's your first step. But now everybody loves this illustrated looks. And now we have to make that look like a painting. So that's what takes really long. So I have to, start to paint over the image. So that's my background, is that I'm using photos and I'm painting over them. Now the challenge is that especially if somebody wants a particular actress or an actor and they want them to look a certain way, and I say, okay, but you need to give me references. And so what they'll do is they give me the shittiest, grainiest screenshot of a blurry photo of the actress looking one way, and he's like, all right, so imagine it's like the actress like looking up, or something. And he's like, this is the only one I got. but that's not what he wants to see in the poster. He wants to see her doing something else. But I wouldn't know what her face looks like, doing that. You see what I'm saying? Like, I need, for stuff like that, I'm not the art. I know there are plenty of artists who can do that. I'm not that guy. I can't do that. I envy those fuckers that could do that. I need, for particular people, whatever, I need the faces. I need the stuff like that. So that's always been the challenge of mine, is if I don't have good reference photos to work with, it just, yeah.
Got it. Is there a piece you're really proud of?
Yeah, it's funny, not to be like ego-y, but sometimes, I every now and then, I think every artist, every filmmaker, we'll call them artists, not just poster artists, filmmakers, writers, blah, 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 creators. And if they say they don't do this, they're bullshitting, but they have that extreme thing of doubt, where imposter syndrome. So I surely get that. And so it's going to sound cheesy, but every now and then I will have to go on my Instagram and look at some of my past work. And I'll be like, oh, that works. That's really good. And actually, I've been experimenting with the Mary Jane lately. That's new to me, the marijuana. And so I found that if I smoked a little and I was feeling this like feeling of doubt or whatever, I look back at my stuff and I would get excited. Like, oh, the posters that come to mind, I'm really proud of. Halloween 2, which was that was the first poster I did right after I got let go from my psychology job, to which case I said, fuck it, I'm going to focus on art. And I went ahead, I got myself a pumpkin, I carved it, and just exactly what I did. I put a skeleton in the pumpkin, I took a photo of it, and I created this poster, this Halloween 2 poster. And that has been, I've used that image on t-shirts, and I've commissioned that many, many times. I love that poster. I did a Halloween 3 poster, which is a lenticular, which is a really cool type of image that if you move it slightly, it sort of changes. It's kind of like a 3D thing. So I did that for Bottleneck. I have another Creepshow poster coming out that I did. That's another Bottleneck. I love that the scare package. I was super happy with both of them, especially part 2 with the peace sign. I'm very happy with all. I mean, now I sound like a douchebag, but
No, I'm excited for this like second wave of the Beatles, the psychedelic, once they got introduced to drugs. Thanks, Bob Dylan. But like, we'll see how your art gets a lot more psychedelic.
Yeah. Well, that is funny. As a test, I looked at a piece. I'm working on it right now. And I looked at it and I was like really happy with it. And then I got high last night. And I don't like to work when I'm high because I'm afraid I'm going to fuck something up. But I just simply opened it and I looked at it and I said, and then just things came clear, and I said, "Ooh, when this passes, tomorrow morning." But I'm not advocating that. I'm just whatever. I just need a little bit of
We're not advocating it either.
For anxiety, man.
Yeah. I'm just kidding. Well, no, if I may, we at Paper Street are also very, very happy with both Scare Package 1 and 2. We get compliments on that key art and those posters all the time.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. We're fans. We're very much happy with the way they both turn out. And Pizzagate Massacre too. Like this won't be the last time we commission you for something. Trust me.
Oh, no. Yeah. Let me just say real quickly. You guys also are Aaron. Yeah, he's your ideal client because he trusted me enough, and he's like no notes. He's a dream.
We'll have to tell Aaron that you said he's dreamy.
Yeah, he's dreamy.
Well, to that point, you mentioned working with Fangoria, and that's very cool of Ted to shout you out and recommend you. Yeah. I've seen your stuff on Bottleneck Gallery. A few of us at Paper Street, Becky too, we have like a bunch of alt posters from Mondo, Gallery 1988 and the like. But when it comes to stuff like Bottleneck, do you reach out to them? Do they find you and say, hey, we're looking for this movie? Or how do you go about getting those type of like print setups?
In the very, very beginning of this career, I was reaching out, and I don't know what happened, but I'm blessed. So knock on a piece of wood here. Now they reach out to me. So Bottleneck would reach out to me, and it's just a simple email. How would you feel about doing this? And it's literally just that. It's They're very different. So I love working for Bottleneck, but that's where you're talking license. So with license comes a lot of rules, a lot of yes and no's, to an artist, it's quite stifling, So I do try to. Luckily, I haven't gotten battered with, by anything too bad. Like I submitted something, it just didn't work. There was one piece that I lost. I almost lost my lunch because I was really upset. I was doing a Jurassic Park piece, and I worked my ass off it. When I handed it in, his note was, "This is not going to work. It's not to the level of quality of your other work." Or something, and it's just not going to work for printing. So, and then he said, "Oh, and plus, Steven Spielberg himself has to okay it." That was a blow. So I said, "Oh, that's just awful." So I looked at it and I didn't understand what he was, because he's a man of not too many words. This guy, he wouldn't tell me exactly what was wrong. Oh, I did. I said, "What's the problem?" And he said, I can't. I don't know." Well, that's not very helpful. So I slept on it. I woke up the next morning, tinkered with it. I did something that only literally took about 10 minutes. Submitted to him, and I don't know. I didn't hear back. And then 3 days later, he's like, or a week later, he's like, "Steven Spielberg loved it." So that's how those big commission pieces happen. They just could. I'll just get an email. It's an email.
That's awesome. It's in a way, it's a little anticlimactic the way you told it, but I get it because it's, but just knowing that Spielberg looked at it and approved it is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Even if it's, a little bit removed, over email and all of that.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it quite was, because actually, no, I said it was a week had passed. I actually wrote to him. I said, "Hey, man, I sent you something about a week ago. How'd that work out?" And that's when he wrote, "Oh, yeah, Steven Spielberg loved it." And I'm thinking to myself, that's news you probably could have told me the second it happened, but okay.
It's like, what would have happened if you didn't say anything? Like, yeah, you never know.
He would have just showed up in the store. I said, "Oh, I guess we're selling it." Okay.
Is there a particular movie that you've always wanted to do a poster for, or maybe anything else you've always just wanted to try out, like a certain genre or style or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I have a fear that, I love what we're doing here. I love how illustrated art is kind of coming back. I always feel like any moment now people are going to be over it. But I feel like now illustrated art is not really, it's evolved to a point where it's not just like 80s sensibilities. Now modern posters are illustrated and they just look more interesting. Not all the time. I love like photorealistic posters, like modern movie posters. I think some of them are incredible. But I was always afraid, like, how long are people really going to give a shit about, 80s style movie posters? Especially in the very beginning, I used to remember how posters used to have those fold lines, those one down the middle, and
yeah.
Oh yeah, the literal one sheet folds of them.
Yeah, the one sheet folds. That's how the one sheet posters. That's how they used to fold them. If they didn't roll them, and so my early posters had that. Took me forever how to learn how to make it look realistic, the folds, but I would do that to really sell home the whole, grungy kind of thing. Well, I don't do that no more. I used to scratch up my posters a lot with grunge brushes. If you're familiar with Photoshop, it's just a way to make something look worn out. But now I'm finding that actually takes away from the art. It's a little too gimmicky. And just if you do a cool poster, whether it's illustrated or not, the whole point of a movie poster is to get people to want to see your film. And if it's a cool visual, it's not going to matter whether it's painted or not. I think I don't even know if I answered your question. What was your original question? Your question was...
Well, I was asking if there's a certain movie that you wanted to do a poster for, or just any different styles. And maybe that's where you were going down, as like a different style or approach.
Oh my God. Yeah, maybe that's what I think. I clung to that and I took you on a weird journey. I apologize for that. I've always loved... I've done posters for all the films that I've really wanted to do. I'd like to do more. I have more ideas for Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I got in trouble with them. I lost my first account because of them. My first Instagram account. I'll say it right here live on our podcast that some of the stuff I sell in my store is not licensed. And I welcome, once they ask for me to remove it, I will gladly remove it. But a lot of it is not licensed. Most of it is. But some of the stuff is not. And I did that with Texas Chainsaw, and apparently I had gotten a notification to remove it. Unfortunately, I was sick, so I hadn't been logging on. And I came back on Instagram after recouping, and I had no account left. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is a movie that I would love to, I would do like 26 posters for that film, but I don't want to go near that poster, that title anymore. But I Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, I'd love to do even more Creepshow stuff, Halloween stuff I would love to keep doing. I've done posters for these films, but I'll gladly do more.
So you mentioned a number of your favorite movies and Halloween 2 and things like that, but is there one kind of holy grail that you point to as the greatest movie poster, whether it's a Photoshop or a floating head or iconic stuff or an illustration? What would be on your wall if you just didn't have like an alternative drawn poster?
Sure. My favorite posters of all time is, I don't know if it's one specific one, but I always know it. It's Creepshow Part 2, Halloween Part 2, Friday the 13th Part 4, Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Part 3. Yeah, those are the biggies. Oh, Halloween Part 4. Those are the big ones that are and Jason Takes Manhattan, I think, is an exquisite movie poster.
I'm pretty sure, I want to speak for Becky, but she kind of grew up in the same era as we did. But I think we visualized every single one of those ones you said as you name check them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And notice, do any of those movie posters have characters from the films in it?
Well, I guess if you count
the killer,
Michael Myers.
Right. Yes. But they don't, and that's what I liked about the scare packages. He knew Aaron understood the assignment. He just give the essence of what the movie's about. You don't have to show, because it's an anthology. Both films are anthology. You could imagine, that'd be a lot of characters if you wanted to hit every fucking anthology. So instead you can capture that vibe by just giving the essence of it. And that's all those movie posters that I've mentioned do that, that it captures the vibe, the tone.
Yeah. Minimalism is not a bad thing. If you think about when people name check the most iconic ones, Jaws, Thing, Alien, simple image, singular image,
Yeah.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. And all those ones you mentioned too, I specifically remember, going down the video store aisle, and Halloween 4 always jumped out at me. And I had to really force myself to start from the first film because I really wanted to get to 4 just because of the poster.
Back in the day you're talking, or just
back in the day when I first started, Halloween is my favorite film.
So you didn't watch 4 first, even though that was
but that was the one that jumped out.
So you started watching Halloween in 88, 89?
Well, I was born in 87. So I started watching it probably when I was around 11 or 12.
Very young, still very young.
Becky, I know you're younger than us, but you started horror earlier than most people. That's the only reason I was lumping you in with us. Late Gen Xers and elder millennials, respectively.
Well, that's a very young age. 11 is still, your brain is not developed yet. So whatever you take in, it's going to shape how you are. Yeah.
Yes, and I'm sure horror movies were a major part of my social emotional development.
Yeah.
The only bummer about Halloween 4 is that the posters, that's the famous one with a very close up of Michael Myers' mask, but it looks not nearly that cool in the movie.
Right.
That's the big bummer of it all. It's like that might have been one of his worst mask looks in the movies, but it looks like the original when you see the up close on the poster.
Well, that's the funny thing about movie posters is that, and sometimes I will joke with people, clients, if I'm trying to do something and I know it's going to look better on the poster than what they might have to provide. And they might say, well, that's not how it really is in the movie. And I said, it's the poster, man. Like, we could lie. It's okay. Halloween, I said Halloween 4 fucking.
Yes. Trailers lie. Why can't posters lie?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
But yes, we appreciate, again, the kind of floating hand a la Chopping Mall and the House movies and our scare package posters. People, like I said, they reference that when they bring them up to us too. And we get compliments on them all the time because, again, we were old video store kids too. And that was such a big deal to have good key art and good poster, good box art. It goes a long way, especially in the small independent movies that can make a difference to somebody looking at a red box or.
Well, I think now actually it's probably even more important or of equal importance because now the way we're viewing movies now, what title to watch, assuming nobody told you what to watch and you know exactly what you're going to watch before you put it on. If you're doing one of the scrolling things, the way all these platforms are set, or the interface is nothing but posters. So if you have a really cool poster on that, when you see the screen of all the thumbnails,
Yeah.
Now it's really important to have a cool movie poster, because that's how we're seeing. We're basically at the video store all over again.
Yeah, exactly. Or people used to show up right at the movie theater and look at all the posters outside and decide which movie they were going to go see from it. So where it all comes back to the same premise.
For sure.
So one last question for you in the formal part of the interview. Do you have any advice that you want to share with other artists, specifically poster design, anybody that's trying to break into that field?
Yeah. Fear not about AI. No, no. AI is pretty scary. I would say, if you're into movie posters, figure out what it is that you like about the movie posters, and then, if possible, try to do your version of that thing. And what I mean by that is, I've been doing this a long enough time to see new people come, new artists, that is. I've seen, it's sort of like the new girl in the new hot girl in school or whatever. I've seen plenty of artists that are new and surpass me. I've lost jobs to certain artists, but I'll see some of these new artists and look, that's great. They're getting business or whatever, but what they're doing, some of these artists they're literally replicating. So a lot of what we do here, a lot of these posters, this little clique of artists, the sort of people that are sort of bringing back the resurgence of the 80s thing. I would lump myself in there, I suppose. Tom Hodge, the dude, Slasher Design, Justin Osborne, he's a big one. But then there'd be an artist that would come out and replicate. We're basically doing replications or inspirations of what we grew up with, right? But then there are artists that I noticed that are actually now replicating the artists. So I have a couple of dudes that I get an email from somewhere, a text message, and be like, "Oh, this guy's ripping your style," So I see a lot of artists that are breaking into the scene now, coming in, and they're not. It's very obvious, at least to me, that they're not inspired by the source, the original source. They're inspired by the artist. And so what happens is, what you start to get a replication. It starts to look like people are just copying other artists, and that's not cool. And so my advice would be, find your own, footing. What movie posters gave you that kind of vibe, that thrill, and then just like a nut, just sit in front of your computer or wherever and just put in countless hours, lose sleep, fuck up your back. No. And just anything. What's great about becoming an artist in this capacity is you get away from the world of resumes, which is basically telling somebody what you're going to do. And now you get to show people what you're going to do. So it's a great time to actually be doing this kind of stuff. Again, with AI, maybe it's not the best time, but you have a platform now. You know what I mean? Like, you could, if you build it, they will come. And we have Instagram, and we have whatever the other social media things are, that you can get your work out there, and you can get your work out there to thousands of people. So that's my advice. Just do what you love, and try not to blatantly try to rip off another artist. You could be inspired, that's what I do, but you try to do your own thing.
Wise words.
Have that portfolio, even if that means a digital one nowadays.
Yeah.
Sage advice from Marc here. Marc, what we do on the second half is called the Rapid Fire 15. We kind of prepped you off here for it, which is we tailor a little questionnaire for you based on like genre and your taste and stuff like that. A lot of it's like your favorite things, favorite movies, music and such. So not a cool test, just first thing that comes to mind. We don't want you to think too hard about it. You can tangent as needed, but we'll try to keep it sort of rapid just for the listeners here.
Yeah.
All right. And I think we could probably predict maybe a few of these answers based off of getting to know you better here. Yeah. But we'll start off with a classic. What movie do you think you have seen the most in your life?
All right. I'm just rapid fire. Halloween 2.
It's okay. You don't have to take the rapid fire too literally. I like the speed.
The joke since our first go was like, this is not exactly rapid. We probably should have named it like the mild seat. It's not even a hot seat.
Okay.
Question 2, is there a movie, a show, a song that always makes you emotional, maybe brings you to tears?
I get a little These Dreams by Heart. The song? Was that what you're talking about? The song?
You can pick a song or a movie, any piece of art that always makes you emotional.
Yeah. Well, that song gets me, and it's a new movie, but I lose it, absolutely fucking lose it, to 8-Bit Christmas at the end every single time.
Interesting. I've not seen that yet, but I didn't even know I was expected to be tear jerky, but now I do.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Question 3. What's the first film that really scared you or gave you nightmares? If it wasn't, maybe Halloween 2, but is there something else, if it's not that one, that really gave you nightmares?
I didn't know Halloween 2 is the answer, but if we want to, so I don't look like a nut. I didn't know what the movie was until only recently. So it was just a scene that I had seen. Never saw the movie. Didn't. There's two films that come to mind where I didn't know what the movie was, but the image had forever haunted me. The Beastmaster. Yeah, the Beastmaster scene where the villain is holding a baby over a fire pit. Ugh, that fucked me up. And then a movie that I didn't know what was. It was a scene I learned only about a year ago that it's from a movie called The Incredible Melting Man. And there's a scene, I think he's all bloody or something, possibly. I think he collapses and he's all fucked up. I don't get nightmares in that regard. No horror movie has ever given me a nightmare. But those are the images, I suppose, that really upset me.
Those are very specific, but
yeah.
I understand.
Oh, actually, okay. And then you guys know Different Strokes?
Yes.
The bike episode.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Showing my age.
I don't think I've seen that episode.
It's okay. We already discussed you're a baby, and us olds remember that one.
Yeah. It was about, I guess, molestation. Yeah.
It went hard in that, the very special episode, like don't get locked in freezers, like on Punky Brewster.
Yeah.
They did the racism episode on Webster. Like those 80s shows went for it when they went for the very special.
And the creepiest part is this guy is doing something totally inappropriate to one of the actors. They added a laugh track on top of it.
Yep.
Psychos.
That's the 80s.
Yeah.
So number 4. You mentioned a couple, but we think we might know this one. What is your favorite horror movie franchise?
Yeah, I mean, Halloween.
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling that was what you were going to say.
Yeah.
the power of part 2 enough to carry him through.
Yeah.
Question 5. What is your favorite horror movie subgenre? Like slasher, supernatural?
Definitely not supernatural. I guess... All right, what genre would this be? I just saw a movie called Men. You know Men?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, the
A24.
Yeah.
A24 genre.
I think
psychological.
Psychological or even drama horror, if that's even a thing. Where if you notice with the writing of all these films, they call it. You know what? They call it elevated horror, which I hate that name because that just seems like if you're not elevated horror, what are you like? Shit. But I would just say it's horror drama because if you remove the horror aspects, you have a really good drama. So I don't even know if that's a true genre. I think I might have made it up, but it certainly seems like it's becoming a thing. We'll go with that.
All right. Speaking of franchises, we might know this one too, based on something you said. What is your favorite Friday the 13th movie?
It's not part 4, but that is my second. Jason Lives, part 6 is my favorite. That movie probably, you got Halloween 2, I might have seen like 304 times, and Jason Lives, I might have seen 247 times. So that was a big one.
Wow. Most people either say part 6 or part 4 when we ask this question.
Yeah.
For me, it's part 2.
Oh, okay. Well, that is a very good one. That's like one of the better earlier. It's way better than 1.
It's the scariest one, I think.
It is, yeah. I you're onto something there.
All right, question 7. What is a TV show that you just couldn't help but binge?
Roseanne and Golden Girls.
Nice.
Very good. Something we were discovering just looking at some of your art and your webpage. Do you have a favorite Goosebumps book or other childhood horror book?
Yeah. I'm a big reader now, and my first book I ever read was Let's Get Invisible, Goosebumps, and so that is my favorite Goosebumps book. And that was the question. My favorite child book, right? That was a
favorite Goosebumps book or favorite childhood horror book? Either way.
I would say the Goosebumps series for sure, and then specifically that one, Let's Get Invisible.
Awesome. Do you have any spooky season Halloween traditions that you do every year? Yeah,
so starting, we pushed it up to Labor Day weekend. Is it Labor Day? The end of summer. So Labor Day weekend, we'll design the whole house, decorate. We get all the Halloween stuff out. And then I just try to watch horror movies every night. I switch my coffee in the morning. I switch to we get the pumpkin spice creamer, pumpkin spice coffee. So we start out with the coffee. We were having sort of a Indian summer, I suppose you call it. Once that weather gets a little crispy, I'll read a book on my porch with the coffee. That's a big thing I do. I like to light incense usually during this time. Try to get a movie in every night, and I certainly write a lot when I'm driving around looking for. My kid is obsessed with this stuff as well. So going out, getting Dunkin' Donuts, and driving around looking at the haunted houses.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Question 10. Do you have a favorite concert you've attended, or maybe a really memorable concert experience?
I saw Kiss. Not even a huge Kiss fan, but no, fuck it. Tool. I like the band Tool. And that was, saw them in AC. I had a special cookie. And that was really, 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 really memorable. What a really good time.
Nice. I've seen Tool once, but I've seen Christopher in a Perfect Circle a couple times as well. So I've been to many a Maynard shows.
Yeah. Now add a cookie to it. No.
Another music related one. What is your go-to karaoke song? Even if you don't do karaoke, like what would you do if you were forced to get up there and do it?
Yeah. Fuck. I can't. Nothing's coming to mind. It would probably be some kind of, soft rock 1970s kind of thing. One of those, like, I really like to see you tonight. Like one of those like dad rock kind of songs, but soft, fucking Cats in the Cradle. There you go.
Well, you just said you said you're a dad, so that one always hits the fathers. If you're in a pinch and you find yourself at a Fantastic Fest, I'll be the Nancy to your Anne, and we can do these dreams.
That's great.
But yeah, final music question here in a similar vein. What would be your walkout music? So if you're coming out to introduce a movie or your artwork or something to hype people up, like while you get introduced, what's a good walkout song for Marc Schoenbach?
Good question. So the vibe would be like, look, you're coming out to do your artwork. It'd probably be something death metal. I love death metal. So probably something satanic and death metal-y,
Speaking Becky's language.
Yeah. Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It'd probably be Black Dahlia Murder. That's probably right.
Nice. All right. Now for a totally different type of question. Who was your first celebrity crush?
What's the blonde from Facts of Life? Blair,
yeah.
Blair. I didn't, to be fair, I didn't really get like that way for celebrity. I mean, I like Blair and I like the girl. Oh, please forgive me. I don't know her name. You'll know her name. Howard the Duck.
Leah Thompson from Back to the Future.
I am so sorry. Leah Thompson.
Yeah.
Just in Howard the Duck, not in the Back to the Future. Very specific.
Right.
Yeah. You know what? Let's change it. Leah Thompson, Howard the Duck, because now I'm thinking about that scene and I miss her.
No, she was not nearly as conservatively dressed in Howard the Duck as she was in Back to the Future. Whole different personality in that movie. I get it.
Yeah, it'd be funny if I said the duck, the one that was bathing in the beginning. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
You know that girl duck from that one scene at the very beginning?
That's my girl. Yeah. No.
This became an entirely different podcast.
Why not both, said Howard and said Mark. Yeah. But penultimate question here, number 14. If you, Mark, could double feature any two films in the world, like you give us a little like film fest that's the two movies that kind of show your two wolves, or maybe just a pair of films that you think pair well or that you love dearly, that would kill as a double feature for the Marc Schoenbach double feature night. However you want to frame it, what would those two movies be?
It wouldn't make any sense at all, but it would probably be The Burbs and Return of the Living Dead. It makes no fucking sense to pair those two, but The Burbs and Return of the Living Dead.
I would be there in the front row.
Oh, there you go.
It sounds it would be fun. I mean,
yeah, that's a fun one.
There's probably some way you could theoretically connect something thematically, but it just sounds fun.
Yeah, if I were responsible to do the poster, for example, I would push heavily on the comedic. So the poster there would be some kind of mask. It would be comedic because they're both comedies, I think. All
right. Last question of the Rapid Fire 15 is, what would be your dream project? So maybe this is a chance now for you to get some of that writing out there. Yeah. If is there an original idea or something that you've always wanted to bring to life?
The dream project in terms of poster, like client type thing?
Poster or a script that you want, either way. Or both. You could answer both.
Interestingly, and this is where I can't think about it too much. I just have to do, because otherwise I'm going to get all worked up and it'll fuck me up. So I removed myself. I'm doing a design right now for the Black Dahlia Murder, and they're my all-time favorite band. It's a dream to work. It's like, whoa, I can't believe I can't even wrap my head around that I'm designing for them. I keep getting in my head and it's fucking me up a little bit. So I have to, it's like, that's a big one. That's a biggie. And I'm actually working on it right before we logged on. I was working on it. So that is a dream. As we're seeing, it's coming to fruition. And then the big dream is every Wednesday for the past year and a half. Well, not a year, but we're both dads, so we're trying here. But I meet up with my friend Bobby, and we have been working on this script diligently, outlining just character development, just the whole fucking thing. And it's going to be my big project to have the script, create an entire package. What do they call that? You guys call it pitch packages. I've seen so many pitch packages. I've been part of pitch packages, but now it's my turn. It's like, this is my tie. It's like, now I get to do it. So the script that I don't want to say anything, but I have an in, and I just have to now deliver. And I'm not counting my, whatever the fuck the expression is, eggs, baskets, whatever. That will be, whatever comes of it, doesn't matter. It would be a dream just to submit this to the person that said they would read it. That'll be a dream. That'll be a big one.
Very nice. Well, we wish you very good luck with that for sure.
Thank you.
And also, that is the end of the Rapid Fire 15. You aced it, even though there's no points and it's all made up.
Good.
Whatever, but thank you. Good answers.
Yeah.
So what's next for you? Is there anything you want to plug or promote that you're working on?
No, I have to, I'm not going to say I reinvent myself, but I certainly have to come up with, I'm trying to really figure out how to get better with brand. I'm good with brand. I'm getting gigs. It's not about getting gigs. I think I want to make Sadist Art Designs like a bigger thing, a bigger, well, not just a bigger brand, but like to encompass more. And I guess the business model of that is not yet fully realized, but whether it's getting into publication, publishing, or just whatever, just making my own unique kind of designs, not even related to hard necessarily, just a bigger brand, I guess. In the meantime, I'm just going to keep on trucking. I enjoy, doing these gigs so much. Very grateful that my calendar is never not full. For the last 10 years, it's never not been full. So that's just a blessing. So the future is just to continue. And again, really, I know it's completely not related, but maybe there is a way to somehow connect the writing, with this company of mine.
Right. And for those who are looking for Marc, we'll have show notes, paperstreetpodcast.com. We'll connect you to Sadist Art Designs. Make sure you check out the webpage and follow Sadist Art _designs. We blame the Texas Chainsaw folks for that snafu and his new name, but at Sadist Art _designs on Instagram for sure.
They really.
Those bastards. At least I know the story now. I was going to ask you off air, like, why did you have to change your page over not too long ago? So now the whole world knows.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, thank you again, Marc, for sharing your background with us, the things that inspire you. Loved hearing about the stories, and as a big fan of the Halloween franchise, I love when Halloween 2 gets the appreciation it deserves. So, thanks again for taking the time to talk with us.
Oh, absolutely. It's always a weird thing, but I really, you guys are awesome, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
No, it was our pleasure. And again, Paper Street, all fans of yours for sure. And we are certainly going to work with you again down the road here. Again, I've said it multiple times already on the show, but we couldn't have been happier with the way the Scare Package posters turned out. And proof in the pudding is how often we are complimented on them. And we shout your name and shout your Instagram, and then they go to it and they find out it's been closed and they have to find your other Instagram. I'm kidding. No, we do appreciate it though. No, thank you for the time, Marc.
Sean, Becky, thank you guys so much.
All right, take care.
Thank you.